Welcome to the Delaware Environmental Institute's second annual Pitch 90, an event designed by students for students to help us figure out how to communicate our science to a broad audience in a way that they will understand what it is that we're talking about. Now, tonight wouldn't be possible without our sponsors, and so I'd like to first acknowledge them. First and foremost, our alpha sponsor, which is the Delaware Environmental Institute, or DENIN. Without DENIN, this would not be possible. And so I'd like for everyone to go ahead and, with me, give them a hand. Thank you very much. Now, this year we're growing and we're making things better. And we've had some generous other sponsorship this year, including our beta level sponsors, which include Chick-fil-A, Delaware Wildlands, Friendly's, Newark Deli and Bagel, Insomnia Cookies. So let's go ahead and give those folks a hand. And finally, our Gamma level sponsors, which include Cosi, Deer Park Tavern, Iron Hill Brewery and Restaurant, Mispillion River Brewing, Panera Bread, and Pizza Pizza. So if you haven't been to any of those places, go. They're all great and wonderful. So let's give them all a hand. Thank you. So just as they were generous, I also am a very generous person. And so I'm going to offer now to give away the things that they gave to us. And I need 4 volunteers. Yes, Susan, this is open to anybody. All right, yeah, come on up here. Mario, and is that Alex? Yes, you in the hat. Is that 4? That's 4. Okay, and while they're coming up here, if you're a participant, make sure that you've signed in the back. If you haven't signed in when you came in, please go and do that. And that's, again, if you're a participant. All right, so, gentlemen, come on up here. Yes, and lady as well. Sure, all right, so you've kind of generated teams. I think we're gonna go with that. So you two are a team, you two are a team. We're gonna do some trivia, and we're gonna start with some Delaware-centric trivia. So I hope that you guys are all Delawareans. I assume, yes?
Not too much.
No, Mario says not so much. So I'm going to ask you each to communicate with each other and figure out what your answer is before I ask you. And then the team which gets the most correct or the most close to correct will receive a swag bag, and you can get your swag bags from the back. And inside the swag bag for the winner is a gift card from Newark Deli and Bagel. You each get one. But the losers, you don't get any gift card, but you still get a swag bag, so you win. It's win-win-win. All right, and you guys just help me keep track of who's winning, okay? First question. The tallest point in the state of Delaware is in a mobile home park, which is in Wilmington. And the elevation is 450 feet above sea level. So my question for you is, what is the average elevation of the state of Delaware? Now this is cheating because Susan, you should really know this.
Well, it depends on how you calculate the average.
Okay, well I took this from a DENREC report. So,
I didn't write it.
all right, you got your answers? All right, okay, what's your answer?
We're going to do the metric system and say 50 meters.
50 meters, okay. 50, how, so 450 feet in meters, okay.
50 meters.
What is,
Okay.
What's your guess?
I guess we would say 300 feet above sea level.
300 feet. Oh, geez.
This is a learning experience.
Okay, all right, so we have, I can't do that calculation. 300 feet, is that greater or less than?
We're less.
We're less? Okay.
Yeah, they're less.
Okay, you're less. You're correct. In meters, it's 18. In feet, it's 60 feet above sea level.
Okay.
So, all right. Team Alpha, 1 point.
Okay,
All right. Okay, the second. So in the state of Delaware, more than 6 million people go to the beaches each year. So the entire state of Delaware is considered a coastal zone. My question for you is, no part of Delaware is more than how many kilometers from tidal waters?
This is not fair.
It's not supposed to be fair. So I just need your best guess. How many kilometers or miles can you be away from tidal waters in the state of Delaware? Okay, what you got?
We're going to, again, sticking with the metric system, we're going to say 5 kilometers.
5 kilometers. Okay, that's pretty close. It's really close. Okay,
Well, depending on how you calculate it and which report you take that from, it's somewhere between 8 and 10 miles.
okay. It's 8 miles. Yes, so very good. You've redeemed yourself.
Thank you.
Okay, third. Now we're on the University of Delaware campus, so it's only fitting that we have some UD trivia. UD was founded in what year? And the second part of this is by whom? So when was it founded and who did it? We'll go here first.
I want to say 1786.
Okay, who did it?
It was Joe Biden, wasn't it?
Joe Biden. All right. He ages really well. Okay.
I don't know. 1743, and we don't know.
We don't know.
1743 is correct. Joe Biden is not. It's Francis Allison. So you guys 2, you guys 1. We have one more. So I hope this isn't a tie because we don't have enough gift cards. In acres, how large is the UD campus, including all of its satellite campuses? No metric allowed. Okay. Ready?
No.
I'll give you a second. Okay.
Hey, across Delaware would be 85 to 90.
85 to 90 acres. Okay. What's your guess?
25?
Right, yeah.
125.
125. The correct answer is 2,311. So you win! Go ahead and collect your swag bags. Thank you guys so much. So this year we've put together an impressive cohort of participants tonight. There are 39 in total, and that includes undergrads, master's level, PhD level, students who are presenting their own research. And that spans 3 institutions, including the University of Delaware, Delaware Technical Community College, and Delaware State University. Within those universities, we cover 6 colleges, including UD College of Earth, Ocean, and the Environment, the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources, and the College of Engineering here at UD, as well as Del Tech Health Science, DSU College of Agriculture and Related Sciences, and the DSU College of Mathematics, Natural Sciences, and Technology. And within that, there are numerous degree programs. So you can see there's a wide array of who's here. And I'm excited to hear their research, as should you be, because they're all doing very interesting stuff. And we've assembled ourselves a very well-qualified panel of judges to judge how fascinating their work really is. And those judges will judge these participants on 3 categories, which are content, originality and creativity, and stage presence. And judges, if you'll note on your pieces of paper, there's also room for comments. So in your spare time, in the 90 seconds that you have, feel free to write as much as you can. Each participant will receive a copy of their scores, so it'll be helpful for them in the future. Now, the panel of judges is assembled also from a wide variety of backgrounds, and I'd like to take a moment to recognize them. And in the spirit of tonight, I'm going to be quick. And so I'm going to ask the judges to also be quick. I'm going to read your name and tell people who you are, but I'm not going to tell them much about you. I'm going to tell them your basic affiliation. And your job is just to stand up, turn around and wave, and sit down. And you need to do that in the time that it takes me to say your name and your affiliation. And please, everyone, just hold your applause until we're finished. And then we can show our judges how much we love them. So, with that, we have Tracy Bryant, who's not here yet, and Eli Chen, who's also not here yet. I guess if your name's at the beginning of the alphabet, you don't get here early. Except if your name is John Cargill. John Cargill, who's a hydrologist at DENREC. Grace Cords, who is a high school senior and 4-H'er. Marjorie Crofts, who's the director of the Division of Waste and Hazardous Substances at DENREC. Jessica Dempsey, who's an executive legal assistant, but she's on hiatus raising her 2 young kids. Helen Fischel, who's the Director of Education and Organizational Development at Delaware Nature Society. Barbara Garland, who's the founder at Image Visions. Lindsay Getz, who's a school psychologist at the college school. Todd Kaiser, who's a hydrologist at DENREC. Susan Love, who's the Climate and Sustainability Lead at DENREC. Jeanette Miller, who's the Associate Director at Denon. Katie O'Connell, who's the Director of Environmental Public Education in the College of CEOE. Adam Rome, who's a Professor of History and English here at UD. Senator Gary Simpson, who's the Delaware Senate Republican leader. Amy Slocum, who's the Assistant Director here at Denon. Benjamin Smith, who's an attorney at McCarter in English. Alex Soroka, who's a grad student and last year's winner of this event. David Wunsch, who's the state geologist and director of the Delaware Geological Survey. And Marion Young, who's the owner at Brightfields. Now you can applaud. And I think I did that in 90 seconds, yeah? So this is going to be a fast-paced night, and it's important that we all understand how exactly it's going to happen. So just bear with me as I go over some of the logistics. First, I see some people are standing. We have a few chairs up here in the front left, if you dare walk that far up. So the order in which the participants are going to go, they do not know. The only participants who know when they're going are the 2 whose names are behind me. So this screen is your information screen. If you're a participant, you're going to pay close attention to this, because when you see your name go up in the whole section, that means you're going up after the person whose name is on deck, who's going up after the person whose name is currently where the welcome sign is. Does that make sense? So when you see your name on the screen, that means you've got about 3 minutes or less to get up to the side of the stage here. And we ask that you just walk around the curtains here, and you can poke your head on through. There's a space in the curtains, and you can sit down. We'll put a mic on you, and then you'll go when it's your turn. And when it's your turn, you have 90 seconds to describe your research. And if you think that your research deserves more than 90 seconds, I will remind you that it does not, and I will come and politely kick you off the stage. So, as they're giving their presentations, to keep this quick, we ask that you don't applaud, but you hold your applause until after the end of the first intermission, or after the end of the first half, and then at the end of the second half. And then we can give a very loud applause for everyone. So, before we start, I'm sure that the participants are going to have some nerves. I'm sure that the judges are going to have tired fingers and brains. And so before we start, I want everyone to stand up. We're going to loosen up a little bit. Everybody stand up. Okay, now what I'd like for you to do is to turn to your neighbor. Everybody needs a partner. I need you to turn your body so that you're facing someone. So turn your body so that you're facing someone. This is your partner. I'm asking you to do something simple, and that is to alternate. So we're going to count to 3, and you're going to alternate who says which number. So if it were me and the mic stand, I would say 1, the mic stand would say 2, I would say 3, the mic stand would say 1, I would say 2, the mic stand would say 3. It's pretty easy, right? But I imagine that you're going to make a mistake because I want you to push each other. I want to see who can count the fastest. So I want you to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And if you screw up and we all make mistakes, what I'd like for you to do is a clown bow, which is a clown bow. If you remember, when clowns take a bow, they don't bow very dignified. They want your attention. So a clown bow is ta-da! Okay? So before we start, I want everybody to practice, okay? Everybody's gonna do this with me. I wanna see a whole bunch of clown bows. Ready? 1, 2, 3, ta-da! Again, ta-da! All right, so this should be easy. Ready? You're gonna alternate. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Begin. Okay, good, thank you. So, yeah. Okay, so I think that was too easy. So what I'm going to ask you to do now is to substitute the 2 for a clap. So it'll be 1, the mic stand would clap, 3, 1, clap, 3. Got it? So substitute a clap for the 2, and again, when you clown bow, I want to see you clown bow. Okay, ready? Begin. All right, thank you. Okay, so wait, keep standing. I think some people still haven't done a clown bow. I haven't seen one from Dr. Sparks yet, so. All right, so I'm gonna make it a little harder. So this time, you're gonna substitute the 2 with a clap, and you're gonna substitute a 3 with a stomp. So it'll be 1, 1, and you're gonna alternate. Same thing, if you mess up, clown bow. Ready? Begin. All right, thank you very much. You guys give yourselves a big round of applause. Okay, now before we begin, I should clarify for the judges that a 10 is the best, a 1 is the worst. Okay? 10 is the best, 1 is the worst. So with that, we're gonna go ahead and begin. Our first participant is Heather Manching. So Heather, you're ready and you're mic'd? All right, and again, please hold your applause. Heather.
Do I just start when they?
Yep, you just.
I focus on feeding 12.5 billion people, not because that's how many people we have in the world today, but that's how many mouths we're going to need to feed in the next 50 years. We need to strengthen the crops that we grow so that they can evolve and adapt to changing environments while still producing enough food to feed our growing populations. In order to do this, we need to increase the genetic diversity of corn grown in the US, which contributes to 20% of what's eaten worldwide. What is genetic diversity? Think of it as a toolbox. Let's say you want to take a tree, turn it into a table, but all you have in your toolbox is a single screwdriver. Sounds pretty complicated, right? Well, now imagine you have a chainsaw to cut that tree down, a drill to screw the pieces together. The corn grown in the US today is equivalent to having a toolbox that only has a single screwdriver. We need to stock our toolbox with the tools required so that our crops are drought tolerant, disease resistant, and can produce enough food to meet growing demands. However, in science, it's not as easy as going to the hardware store and buying a few extra tools. There are certain barriers that we need to overcome. What my research focuses on are what these barriers are, how we can overcome them quickly to increase the genetic diversity of corn and feed those 12.5 billion people. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. All right, so Sean is not here. So, and the screen did not go where we needed it to. So, Mohammed, are you here? Mohammed is not here. Oh, no. Is that Mohammed? No. Okay, Mohammed is not here either. Okay, so Tobias. I know Tobias is here. How about that for short notice? All right, so can we forward to where Tobias, there we go. Let's give Tobias a hand for that, huh? So go ahead and get mic'd. So while he's waiting, I won't tell a joke. You're welcome. Okay, Tobias.
Now I have to tell the joke? Guess the joke's on me. I have a story about mercury, mud, and people. The California gold rush is over, but 15 million people today are still using California gold rush technology to mine for gold. They use mercury to help separate the gold from the mud, even though it's highly toxic. And this is a huge vector for mercury it's the largest contribution for mercury into the environment. The mercury doesn't just stay in the areas where they're mining, it gets transported downstream with river flow because the mercury is attached to the mud. But current models for how sediment is transported aren't very well refined. Some models think that the mud will be transported all the way to the ocean in a single storm event. Other models predict that the sediment will be stored in floodplains where the mercury pollution problem will continue for hundreds of years as it's re-eroded from those floodplains. I'm working with methods to test these models and see if we can come up with better predictions for how the mud is transported downstream and how these sediments and mercury on the mud will contaminate agricultural areas and fisheries downstream of the mining areas. Hopefully I'll find answers soon and be able to know if the mud and the mercury or the people live happily ever after.
Okay, next up, we have Megan Cimino from the College of Earth, Ocean, and Environment. Megan, time is yours.
Is that okay? Have you guys heard of the latest celebrity weight loss trend where you stand in a freezer and shiver to burn off calories? I'm not kidding. People actually do this. And ironically, penguin chicks can lose weight in a really similar way. My research tries to understand the impacts of climate change on penguins. And Adelie penguins live in one of the most rapidly warming regions in the world. With warming air temperatures, there's more moisture in the air and more snow or rain. Last year, when I was down in Antarctica, I saw penguin chicks huddled together, shivering on a rainy day. Penguin chicks are stuck on land where they have no protection from the weather. They don't have waterproof feathers, so if it rains or snow melts around their nest, their feathers can get wet. We found that wet and windy weather cause chicks to weigh less. So it's like they're standing in a freezer while they're wet, forcing them to burn off more calories to keep warm. A chick that doesn't survive weighs only 4% less than a chick that does, which is about the weight of your iPhone, not very much. But to completely understand the effects of climate change on penguins, we have to study their whole life cycle. Some of my other research uses satellites and underwater robots to look at penguin breeding habitats and dive behaviors. But one thing we do know is that If wet conditions become more common, penguin chicks will continue to lose weight like celebrities. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Megan. Next up, we have Adrian Brown from Delaware State University, the College of Agriculture and Related Sciences. Adrian, the time is yours. Good job, Megan.
So I'm focusing on studying common bean. And common bean is the most important grain legume worldwide, known for human consumption. It consists of high dietary fiber, and developing countries rely on this as a staple crop. So I'm looking at epigenetic modifications, and epigenetics is studying an outside stimuli causing, like environmental factors, causing chemical modifications to regulate gene expression. So what I'm focusing on is DNA methylation and what facilitates these actual epigenetic mechanisms. So I'm looking at DNA methyltransferases, which are the actual enzymes that facilitate this epigenetic modification. And DNA methylation actually is responsible for causing gene repression during abiotic and biotic stresses. So abiotic and biotic stresses are different things such as pathogen infection and excessive rainfall and various things such as salinity and desiccation. So I was able to clone 3 type of epigenetic, DNA methyltransferases I was able to clone 3 different types of enzymes called DNA methyltransferases within common bean, within 3 different genotypes. And I wanted to study the actual, my time's up, sorry.
All right, thank you, Adrian. Next up, we have Caitlin Ritchie from the College of Earth, Ocean, and Environment. Caitlin, the time is yours.
There are over 7 million people who live in the Delaware River Basin, and we can just picture all of those neighborhoods, all those houses, and all those lawns. Living in such a densely populated area makes it so easy to feel unimportant and like your decisions don't make an impact. But that's not true, and there are a lot of easy choices that we can make to improve our local water quality. So you and I know that using a lot of fertilizer is bad, but did you know that your fertilizer could be causing a nutrient flux in your local river? So what does that even mean? Stormwater carries nutrients and sediments away from your lawn, and they flow into our rivers. From here, they can cause algal blooms and fish kill. Is that the way that you want to see the Brandywine River? You decide, but next time I visit, I definitely don't want to see dead fish and algae everywhere. And that's why my research is important. I'm conducting an urban field experiment, and I want to find out how much residents are willing to pay for water conservation practices. And these practices can be as simple as planting native plants in your lawn, or using a soil test kit to determine if you really need that fertilizer. And I want to find out if providing information about a resident's local watershed encourages this environmentally friendly behavior. So my research takes information from scientists, input from the public, and it can go on to influence policymakers. In this complex web of people, it's important to remember that it can boil down to the individual, and it's amazing what one person can do. Thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin. Next up, we have Shang Wu from the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources. Shang, the time is all yours.
In Delaware, over 90% of the waterways are considered polluted. When we first think of water pollution, we'll think of a pipe draining dirty water into the river. But in fact, the majority of the pollution comes from sources that are invisible to us. For example, little Maddie wants her flowers to grow faster. She buys a bag of fertilizer and puts that into the soil. The next day, rain comes. The fertilizer gets washed into the river and becomes pollutant. To deal with this type of pollution, we need to first have knowledge on the quality of our water. Currently, we test the water every 1 or 2 months, but we actually need more. For example, suppose right after we test the water quality, it rains and the bad stuff gets washed into the river, but they will be diluted as time goes by. The next month when we test the water, we might only be able to detect part of the pollution that really happened. Our study tries to deal with this problem by increasing the number of times we sample the water and find new ways to use this better information to have people eventually pollute less. Thank you.
Thank you, Shang. Next up, we have Christy Baer from the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources. Christy, the time is yours.
When I was a little girl, my mom let me choose what I wanted for my birthday dinner every year, and I always wanted chicken. I love chicken, and fortunately for me, when I grew up, I moved to Delaware, a state where chickens outnumber people by about 200 to 1. Being tasty, however, is not the only benefits that chickens have. The poultry manure can be applied to fields, and this acts as a fertilizer for crops. However, there is a catch to this. When the fertilizer or manure is applied to fields and the crops can't use all of the nutrients can get into waterways. When the nutrients get into waterways, this can cause negative consequences. These consequences include a decrease in oxygen content, which can kill animals that rely on oxygen to live, such as fish. This phenomena has been occurring in the Chesapeake Bay since the mid-1900s. Despite rigorous remediation efforts and billions of dollars trying to solve this problem, trying to make this water quality better, the water quality has not substantially improved. So my research is taking us back to the basics. I want to look at nutrient transport, so phosphorus in particular, how phosphorus moves through streams from the farm to the bay, and what forms of this phosphorus are available to plants. I want to do this so that we can all enjoy chicken while still enjoying a healthy bay. Thank you.
Thank you, Christy. Next up, we have Yan Zhang from the College of Engineering. Yan, the time is yours.
Thank you. Gas is burned in the engine of our cars so that we can drive back home after work every day. Coal is burned at power plants so that we can light our rooms in such a cold winter evening. Fossil fuels like gas and coal are burned to power our world, but they are limited resources. So one challenge we have today is how can we get more fuels before they are used up? However, that is not the only challenge of our situation. Waste is generated from fuel burning. As a major part of the waste, carbon dioxide has been released into the air from our car's engine and power plant chimneys. Actually, the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere has increased 20% in the last 5 decades. As a result, icebergs are melting, islands are disappearing, and Delaware's coastal resources and communities are at risk. So another challenge is, how can we deal with the waste to stop this? In the journey of seeking solutions to these two challenges, we got the idea of recycling. Just like recycling waste paper to make new paper, treating wastewater to make clean water, we are developing the technology to recycle the waste carbon dioxide to make fuels by just adding some catalyst, some water, and some sunlight. With this technology, we will have endless fuels to burn without harming our environment even a bit. Thank you.
Thank you, Yan. So I like the clapping. I think I'm going to crowdsource this decision and say if we clap like that and keep it quick, I like that. So we're gonna roll with that. So next up, we have Aaron Givens from the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources here at UD.
In our world, we define phosphorus as an essential element of life. It's what we call a growth-limiting nutrient. If you visit any farm in this country, I guarantee they're going to do one thing. They're going to fertilize. We fertilize our ground with things like phosphorus to make sure that we get the maximum amount of crop production out of our land to feed the world's ever-growing population. However, like most things in life, too much of a good thing is a bad thing, and too much phosphorus in our waterways is a bad thing. Excessive phosphorus in our water bodies can lead to nasty algal blooms and reduce dissolved oxygen concentrations in our water. To top it all off, we're going through our mineable rock phosphate at an alarming rate. And depending on who you ask, in the next 200 years, we could be out of mineable phosphate to even get. My research focuses in on looking at agricultural soils and assessing phosphorus availability to get a better look of how phosphorus is being held and how prone it is to leaving the soil. If we can get a better understanding for how phosphorus interacts in our soil, we can not only promote better management practices, but also probably get a better usage out of phosphorus as a whole and potentially reduce our ability to mine phosphorus going forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron. Next up, we have Elizabeth Fiedler from DSU College of Agriculture and Related Sciences.
So the holidays are coming up. You all are going to end up eating sweet potatoes, even if you hate them. So basically, yeah, they're really good. They're important when the holidays come around for us, but they're actually a very important sustenance crop all around the world, like especially in places like Africa and places where they do more traditional farming, and they have farming specifically for their households. But the thing is, with sweet potatoes, they're a little different because they're a vegetative crop. They're generated vegetatively instead of via seeds. So breeding, it gets a little bit harder. It gets a little bit harder to manipulate sweet potatoes. So the viruses that are contracted by sweet potatoes, they end up they contract the viruses and they'll end up sticking with the sweet potato and they'll multiply and they'll just kind of congeal, like a higher concentration of different viruses and different complexes form as a result. So basically you're talking about decimation of sweet potato crops, and it's a real issue where more traditional farming is a problem, or where it is occurring. It's not a problem, but it's a problem because yeah, sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm done.
All right, thank you, Elizabeth. Next up, we have James Haynes from the College of Earth, Ocean, and Environment. James, the time is yours.
Water, H2O. Arguably, it's one of the most crucial resources on our planet. It's what 60% of your body, my body is composed of. Experts say future conflicts won't be fought over land or political indifferences, but water. Take, for example, the past 2 summers out west with California and Arizona and the water shortage issues they've been faced with. So understanding water quality and studying it is paramount and of utmost importance. The more we can understand how natural systems influence and alter water quality, the closer we will be to solving a piece to this massive, complex jigsaw puzzle. Back to the human body perspective again. What would happen to the body if we provided an overabundance of food? Say I just kept eating and eating nonstop. What would happen to my body? The effects would be negative to the metabolism. This is exactly what we're doing to our waterways, except with nutrients. It's harming the life supported by these systems, but us as well. With our current research, we're able to determine metabolic rates in these systems and assess the excess nutrients entering our waterways. And from this research, we were able to determine and create new remediation methods for future implementation. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, James. Next up, we have Alex Wright from the College of Earth, Ocean, and Environment as well. Alex, the time is yours.
Hi. If I asked you what color the ocean was, most of you would say blue. But have you ever noticed that the waves crashing down on the Delaware beaches tend to be a little bit green? Well, the water here is green because of phytoplankton, in other words known as algae, which form the basis of the entire ocean ecosystem. And now, an algal bloom is when a species of algae experiences an explosive increase in population associated with various environmental conditions. They take over the upper portion of the water column, and they quickly wipe out everything in their way and quickly die off soon after. Oh, God. However, when certain species of algae take over the water column, they, oh my God. I'm sorry, I'm really nervous. In most cases, the proliferation of algae means more food for everything. However, when certain harmful species bloom, there are associated environmental consequences such as nutrient depletion, hypoxia, and massive fish kills. And to make matters worse, the range of harmful algal blooms is expanding. and the associated economic and environmental consequences are worsening as well. My research focuses on how an interesting compound derived from a local bacterium inhibits the growth of several harmful species of algae, and that's what I do. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mark. Next up, we have, Alex. Thank you, Alex. Next up, we have Mark Shaw from Del Tech. Mark, the time is yours.
Good? All right, so most people here have taken antibiotics before, right? Antibiotics are one of the most important medicines discovered in the past 100 years. Recently, you hear a lot about antibiotic resistance. It's becoming a big problem, and a lot of people are allergic to certain types of antibiotics. So the search for new antibiotics is an ever-present. So that's part of my research, is looking for antibiotics. I basically take antibiotic-producing bacteria out of the soil, and I take antibiotics out of the bacteria. I use methods such as soil dilution, thin layer chromatography, methanol extraction. Now, a lot of people might not know what that is, but basically, biology and chemistry students in college in their first or second year would be learning these methods. And by learn, I mean just kind of following directions and hoping to get an A, not really paying attention to what you're learning. So that leads to another part of my research, is I'm using these methods that they would learn anyway to try and get them interested in the procedures they're learning. And at the same time, we also have a lot of different people, new students now looking for antibiotics, which is a good thing. So while me personally, I might not find a new antibiotic and make a lot of money, hopefully I will save some of my fellow classmates from bored lab classes. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mark. Next up, we have Mario Guevara. Mario, it's your shot.
Hello, everyone. We work with the spatial variability of soil moisture. And why? Because it's important to understand food security and water scarcity. Previous studies suggest that the soils of the world are getting drier faster. And we test this hypothesis across the United States given the high availability of ground truth observations for validation purposes. In collaboration with the information technologies team here at the University of Delaware, one of the best teams in the country, we have developed a new soil moisture grid estimate for the United States, combining remote sensing imagery with digital terrain analysis. This is a freely available product, and with this product we have found that nearly 40% of the US territory is suffering a constant decline of soil moisture in the order of 1.1 liters per meter cubic per year. But reality could be much worse, because the negative trend that showed field stations is, suggests that the real soil moisture decline is up to 8 times higher. So we have developed this product, and we hope that can be useful for research, but also for decision makers, and hopefully to understand and to rethink our current land management activities, and to develop alternative ways to face this future environmental change. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mario. Next up, we have Feng Tan from the College of Earth, Ocean, and Environment. Feng, the time is yours.
The other day, when I was playing with Google search, I asked a question, it is hot this year? Guess what? I got over 10 million results. Obviously, people from all over the world have the same feeling. According to the US National Weather Service, the global average temperature in the first half year in this year is the highest on record since the year 1880. So global warming is coming. And this is all related to the higher carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere, which is caused by human activities. So the controlling of carbon emission to the air is in urgent need. By who? You may say human beings, but do not forget our mother nature, the soil. Soil is a big carbon container. By forming a stable structure with organic carbon, soil can preserve and protect the organic matter from degradation. So This is called carbon sequestration, which is also intensively influenced by the human activities, especially by farming practices. Therefore, my research is looking at the carbon sequestration under the impact of farming. On one hand, harvesting will reduce the carbon input to the soil. On the other hand, the tillage in the soil would produce more soil materials to abstract more carbon. So I'm trying to find a check and a balance between these two opposite processes and find the role of farming and soil on controlling the soil carbon emission. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fang. Next up, we have Samuel Villarreal, and he is from the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources. Samuel, the time is yours.
Ecosystem functioning can be seen as the ability of the ecosystem to exchange matter and energy with the atmosphere. This is particularly important because it can buffer extreme climate events such as drought, floods, heat waves, and also snowstorms, along with the ecosystem services they provide. This is the production of clean drinking water, food production, along with remotion of atmospheric CO2. However, ecosystem functioning varies along over time because it's a function of climate variability, land use change, and also by vegetation metabolism. My research focused on quantify the diversity of ecosystem function across North America, also to analyze how well represented and measure and monitor is ecosystem function diversity in the United States, and to identify the regions that shows the largest variability in ecosystem functioning and the reason why these areas changes a lot. Also, my research focused to identify the areas that can have extreme climate events in a more frequency than other areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Samuel. Next up, we have Andrew Wells, and he is from the College of Engineering. Andrew, it's yours.
Imagine you're a business owner, and every day you consistently use a particular bridge to ship goods across. And this bridge is in poor condition, such poor condition that trucks can actually no longer cross it. Imagine you're a homeowner and you live by a bridge that's in poor condition, in such poor condition that actually emergency vehicles can no longer cross this bridge. What happens to your business when trucks need to be rerouted? Are you less competitive? Do you have to move or possibly go out of business? What happens when your house catches on fire? Does the fire department make it in time because they have to go around? Now imagine that, in fact, that bridge is in fine condition, but the oversimplification of engineering design calculations causes it to appear to be weak and require weight restrictions. Wouldn't that be infuriating? I mean, imagine if your house burned down because engineers inaccurately assess the strength of a structure. While that's not the case for many or even most bridges that are out there that require weight restrictions, it is believed to be true for a very particular type of bridge structure known as a reinforced concrete box culvert. These are typically 5 to 10 feet tall, 10 to 20 feet in length. What my research focuses on is how to accurately assess the strength of these structures so that the Delaware Department of Transportation can make better decisions about how to serve the state both economically and safety-wise.
All right, thank you, Andrew. Next up, we have Jing Yan, and he is from the College of Agricultural and Natural Resources. Jing, the time is yours.
Is the global warming real? Well, I hope it is not. But we do see real things happening around us. In 2012, Hurricane Sandy hit East Coast, causing 233 deaths and $75 billion loss. This year, California is entering the 4th year of a record-breaking drought. In Delaware, the sea level raised more than a foot over the past 100 years. Global warming is making hot days hotter, rainfall and flooding heavier, hurricanes stronger, and droughts more severe. All of these things are happening for an expanding amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So what does this mean? It means if you can control the amount of carbon in the air by storing them at somewhere, you may slow down or even stop the global warming. So we have an idea, that is to see if soil colloids, the teeny tiny particles in soils, can store carbon. The beauty of colloids is their tremendous surface area to absorb carbon. The surface of a jelly bean-sized colloid can cover an entire football field. So my research is to find in which natural condition the soil colloids can store the most carbon. The more carbon stay with soil, the less emit in the air. We do that by monitoring the amount of carbon from different, holding on soil colloids from different environments. With that, we can manage the soil to store more carbon and save our Earth. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jing. And with that, that marks our intermission. So go ahead, let's hear it one more time really loud for these guys. They did an excellent job. So we have some light refreshments over here to your right, as well as some drinks. And so feel free to get up, mingle, and I'll call you over here in about 10 or 15 minutes when we should reconvene.